and thanks for joining me. October has been a really lovely time of year so far in Bodrum, Turkey. The harsh heat has subsided, and I'm finding myself once again wanting to be outdoors a bit more. The breeze on this peninsula means that daytime has been really pleasant, while evenings you can find yourself wanting a light jacket. Wanting to take advantage of these moderate temperatures while they last, my husband and I took a little walk into the woods. We've been wanting to collect some sticks for starters for the grill, and this gave us the perfect excuse to venture outdoors. While the temperatures have been nice, we still haven't had any rain in a really long time. Everything around seems to be covered in a thick layer of dust, and I need to give my shoes a good cleaning after this walk. The one advantage of this extremely dry weather, though, is that the pomegranates that are now in season are really sweet. I guess last year was a bit wetter and they were on the sour side. I didn't grow up with pomegranate trees around me and really didn't know anything about them. And while pomegranate trees certainly can grow in parts of the US, it's really not something that's abundantly available like they are in Turkey. Instead, I always saw pomegranates as more of a specialty fruit, especially since their prices were always on the higher end. Pomegranates seem to be a dime a dozen here, and it's really easy to get fresh squeezed juice in so many places. We're lucky enough to have some pomegranate trees available to us where we're living, and since some were starting to break open, it seems they needed to be harvested, so I took my shot at making my own pomegranate juice this year, and it turned out to be a very good decision. On this day, we also headed into a village for a small farmer's market. It's more like a one-man show. And I've shown this before, but this vendor comes each week in his van and sells straight from his vehicle. He has a really good variety, and so far the quality has been great. There were even some watermelons still, and it honestly was one of the sweetest ones I've had in a long time, despite it being October. After putting away my market goodies, the hard part of de-seeding my pomegranates came. Now, there are a million and one techniques that you can find online, and each one claims to be the best way to de-seed, but this is just the method that I like to use. I just simply cut the bottom and top off of the pomegranate, and then cut a vertical slit onto one side of the fruit. And then in a bowl of water, I break the pomegranate apart into larger chunks, and then just work at getting the seeds free from the membrane. I like using this method in the bowl of water because the water helps to contain the mess that pomegranates create, and without it I find that it can kind of look like a murder scene with fruit juice splashing all over the place. And plus the water helps any little pieces of the white membranes kind of float to the top, and then you can just easily scoop them off. Now, I had a lot of pomegranates that I've been collecting and de-seeding, so this did take me quite a long time, but it's a somewhat relaxing process if you put on a good podcast while you do so. As for juicing, I know that there are also various methods that you can use. I don't have a ton of kitchen gadgets though, but I did have a blender, so I just went ahead and simply blended the seeds up and then used a fine metal strainer in a bowl to separate the pulp from the juice. Again, this process took a little bit of time simply because of the amount I was working with, but I had a system down and soon enough I had a big batch of juice. And because these pomegranates were so sweet, the juice honestly tastes like sugar's been added to it. It really is the best that I've ever had. Since I knew we wouldn't be able to drink this amount of juice quickly enough, I decided to freeze it in order to preserve its freshness. I'd saved some clean plastic bottles and filled those up just a little bit less than full. I didn't keep track of how many pounds of pomegranates I ended up juicing in total, but in the end I got roughly 6 to 6.5 liters worth of juice, I'd say. It'll be a real treat to thaw those out later on and enjoy their sweetness. They'll taste great as is, or can be enjoyed with some ice and sparkling water. I was eager to use some of the juice right away, so I mixed a little with some green tea, some honey and lemon and ginger, and refrigerated it for a while. Then I poured it over ice and had a delicious, refreshing treat. This evening we had the task of Pling Farmers briefly. The property owners have a small farm and weren't able to make it for evening feeding, so we fed the ducks, geese, chickens, and turkeys. And it's so fun to watch these guys. As soon as they hear you walking towards them, they know that it's about to be feeding time and they all start making lots of noise. They're really smart too and always know when bedtime is. Once the sun starts going down and they've finished eating, they each head into their own coops for the night to be put to bed. so much for taking the time to watch this little video. I really appreciate it. And if you'd like to see more from my perspective as an American living in Turkey, please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel and giving this video a thumbs up. Until next time, thanks!